How do I say your name?
Owen.
Owen.
Like Owen in English, yeah.
Owen, okay.
Yeah.
So why do you spell it differently?
Gaelic.
Gaelic, okay.
Yeah.
Owen.
Be quiet on set.
Tero Documentary presents Filming in Thailand, a podcast for movie lovers with exclusive stories from behind the scenes.
Rolling sound.
Sound rolling.
And action.
Hi, I'm your host Stéphane Lambert, and this is a new episode of Filming in Thailand. And here we are for a new episode of Filming in Thailand, our fantastic show with today our special guest, and I'll tell you why. His name is Eoin O'Brien. Am I saying your name correctly?
Perfect. Full marks.
Thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure. First of all, I have a question to ask you. Is Eoin, are you filming in Thailand?
As much as possible.
As much as possible.
Right.
As a producer, as a director, as a writer, as an actor?
As everything. I mean, it started as an actor,
Okay.
primarily, and did some action work. And then from there, it kind of grew, and I started doing my own short films. So that was when I was shooting in Thailand first. Me shooting, being director, writer, producer, everything, doing everything basically was a few short films. And now it has, thankfully, finally graduated to feature films. So.
We'll talk about the feature film, namely The Kiss of the Con Queen, that has been kept you busy for quite some time now, that is produced and directed by Tom Waller, a good friend and a previous guest of Filming in Thailand. But what brought you to Thailand? Because I read that you used to be a professional basketball player. Thailand is not, I guess, very famous for its basketball practice. Right. And also a Muay Thai fighter.
Correct. Yeah, well, actually, I was on scholarship in the United States, and after that I'd played a few places in Europe, sort of pro and semi-pro basketball. But about age 30, 31, it was kind of winding down, and I needed something new. So I came for a holiday to Thailand, and traveled around the south and Bangkok, and just loved it here. And on my way out, I was visiting a friend here, and he worked at an international school. So he actually offered me a job as athletic director at the school.
At the school.
Coaching the basketball team, organizing all the athletic activities, and also coaching PE and some sport classes as well. So thought about it for about, 5 seconds, and then agreed straight away.
Filming in Thailand.
We were touching on the reason why you came to Thailand through a friend of yours who invited you to be a sport coach.
Correct.
At a school.
Yeah, at an international school.
An international school in Bangkok.
So that brought me out to Rangsit, which is just north of the city.
A bit far out, yes.
A bit far out, yeah, about an hour outside.
But you were not at all in the movie industry at that time.
No, I had done a few bits and pieces as a child. I had done an Irish water safety ad, and I had done a show with RTE. So I had a couple of tiny bits of experience as a kid.
You already had the virus somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was just basically from a love of film that, brought me back to it here.
So, basketball and Muay Thai.
Basketball and Muay Thai, yes. So,
but Muay Thai, you were already, Muay Thai, you were already a fighter, or you learned here?
No, I had taken one class on Koh Phangan when I was here.
Okay.
On holiday, and, that was always part of the deal to come to Thailand.
Koh Phangan is an island outside Samui.
Right. Just near Samui. So that was always part of my, incentive to come here, was to learn Thai boxing, because I love martial arts since I was a child. Bruce Lee was my idol, and Muay Thai is one of the best, most efficient martial arts there is. So that was one of the perks. Coming here, I'm going to learn Muay Thai. I'm going to have a few fights, and I'm going to get really proficient in that as well. So.
But you wanted to become a professional Muay Thai fighter?
Well, I had a few fights, professional fights, but it wasn't full-time, because I always kept my full-time job. So it was more of a hobby. And the fights were like once a year, every year, kind of to test myself. And I started as a complete beginner. So I went out to ranks at Muay Thai Stadium and started Muay Thai level 1, learning how to walk, how to step, how to punch, how to kick. So I was a complete beginner at the start. Now, I had martial art experience as a child. I was into karate back in Ireland. I was a karate champion as a young child before I started playing basketball. So that was, martial art was first, and basketball came in, and that kind of basketball brought me to Thailand to coach and to teach that. And then when I was back here, the passion for martial arts was reignited again by, having Muay Thai gyms everywhere where you can just go and get really great training.
But would you say that this background influenced or prepared you for what came next?
Definitely. I mean,
in what sense?
In the sense that playing high-level basketball, you're preparing, and then when it's time to play, it's time to compete, you have to go. And you have what you have. Your preparation is key, and you're under pressure, and you have a lot riding on it emotionally. So in a sense, that was preparing me for shooting on film sets where, you could be on a set with Jason Statham or Michael Jai White or Scott Adkins, and these guys, are used to things being the way they want them at a high level and professional. And when the director says action, you can't be in your head. You have to just perform, and you have to just go. And that was very much the same as athletic competition. You prepare, and when the time comes, you compete, and you see how the chips fall, and hopefully you do well.
Filming in Thailand.
You just mentioned 3 of the largest, biggest names in the action movie industry. Can you tell us more about your experience with these 3 fantastic actors?
Well, the first time I actually ever worked with Tom Waller was 2014, I believe, and it was Mechanic Resurrection, which is the sequel to the film Mechanic, starring Jason Statham. And
it's the film with the on the poster you have this swimming pool, and that the swimming pool crack, and you have the water falling down from the top of this building. Is it this one?
I remember. I think it's Jason Statham scaling the side of a skyscraper or something like that. Yeah. So that was a very big film.
Huge.
Millennium, I believe, was the production company behind it. And
so you were involved as an actor, as a stunt?
I was involved, yeah. And I was actually cast in this, but it was with action involved. So the first day we're on set, and it's this huge choreographed fight scene, and Jason Statham's obviously going to kick our ass and, throw a fire extinguisher at our head and knock us out. So yeah, that was like first day on set.
Was it a real extinguisher?
No, it was foam or something.
Okay.
Like that. Yeah.
Okay.
I think that shot was actually cut from the final, but it was it's the opening action scene of the film. And it was me and a bunch of guys getting our asses handed to us by Jason Statham.
How did you end up on this set?
Casting.
Yeah. Out of the blue, or you were already going through casting calls?
Well, I think it was already going through casting calls, and I believe it was Non.
The casting director?
Yeah, the casting director, Non, who was casting for this and came in and read for a part, did maybe, 1 or 2 lines, and got selected.
Nice.
Originally, there was just 3 of us, so it was a big role. There was Mercenary 1, 2, and 3, But then I think Jason saw us and was like, no, I need like 20 guys in here. I want to kill more people. So then I was just 1 of 20 by the time Jason rewrote the scene to be Mercenary 1 out of Mercenary 3 out of 20, when it originally was supposed to be like out of 3.
Did you have time to bond with him or the crew, or it was really separated as it can be sometime with American production?
No, I mean, we were on a boat in Pattaya for a week or 3 or 4 days, and every time he saw us, he was very nice. All right, lads, how's it going? Very cordial. And Jason Statham just said hi to me.
Sure.
A little starstruck with Jason because of Snatch and films that we'd seen him in, only a few years before. So that was a good experience. That was one of the first bigger films I think I worked on, one of the first international American productions here.
That was kind of your breakthrough in the Thai film industry?
I wouldn't say it was my breakthrough. I think it was the first large international film. Breakthrough was probably, I don't know if I've had a breakthrough yet. My breakthrough is probably still coming. But first film was cast out of my Muay Thai gym. And I was just there training, and somebody come to the gym and talk to the people, and they were looking for a big foreigner to be the villain in an action film, which was a combination of basketball and Muay Thai, called Fireball. So I was like, did they write this for me? So I was the lead villain in that.
Okay.
And we're shooting in...
So title role with your name on the...
Yes, the lead villain on the poster with a Thai guy doing a flying knee to my face. I'm driving a motorcycle. Really cool stuff. First day, we're in this motorcycle pit with the motorcycle driving on the side of the wall, circles around us. And it was actually a throwback to the Vietnam era. There was originally a film called Fireball. This was the origin of the game, Fireball.
Okay.
Back in the Vietnam time, and the GIs here in Bangkok on R&R. And there was this game where they would put Thai money into a taka ball.
Okay.
And throw it in the ring, and everybody would fight for it.
Filming in Thailand.
Who are your main influences?
Main influences? Well, definitely Bruce Lee.
Bruce Lee.
Definitely Bruce Lee.
In what sense? As an actor, as a producer, as a sportsman?
As a cinematic god.
As a cinematic god. Okay.
As somebody who influenced millions of people all over the world. There's documentaries about it. How much of an influence Bruce Lee had on the Western society and turning people to martial arts, and just his charisma and him breaking through racial stereotypes and boundaries at the time. And I had seen Karate Kid. It was the first film I'd ever seen with martial arts, and that sort of brought me to martial arts. But then I discovered Bruce Lee, and I watched Fist of Fury and Game of Death and Way of the Dragon and Enter the Dragon, and then I had posters of him all over my wall. This is 7-8-year-old. My wall was a shrine to Bruce Lee, and I had got Fist of Fury from Santa Claus one year. Which was nice of Santa Claus to disregard the over 18 label, and my parents to disregard the over 18 label on that film, because I think Bruce Lee kills about 100 people
probably
in that film. So I'm just watching it over and over again, and
but with his bare hands, so it's okay.
With his bare hands, with the Fist of Fury, of course, So he was just an inspiration. His charisma, he was just somebody that was just he had a lot of magnetism, and there's just something about him that's very watchable and just inspiring. So, it was definitely him early on.
And did you follow his advice in terms of training, in terms of life philosophy?
I always wanted to study Jeet Kune Do, which was his martial art that he had created, but there was nowhere in my area that taught you.
At that time you were in Ireland?
Yeah, 7-8 years old. The best thing I could get to was a local karate, Kempo karate gym. So yes, I did start training in Kempo karate, and then started doing competitions and sparring, and got to purple belt and had a few competition victories, medals, trophies, things like that. So yeah, when I was 8, don't mess with me, because there was bullies around the neighborhood, and sometimes as a young Irish person, you walking home from school, you get in fights. I got in a lot of fights, and I didn't lose very many. So it was just drawing that strength from Bruce Lee, that confidence, that don't mess with me. I won't be a pushover.
Interesting.
Filming in Thailand.
So let's play the top 5. What would be your top 5 actors or actresses?
I hate ranking things. This is all subjective, and it could be in any one day.
Absolutely.
Bruce Lee.
Obviously.
Robert De Niro. Marlon Brando. From there it gets tricky. Might be Al Pacino. And just off the top of my head...
What about an actress?
Yeah, we should be gender neutral. Actress... well, everybody says Meryl Streep, but personally, it's not something... For me, it's all about the films that I've seen, and right now I'm drawing a blank, which makes me look very sexist.
It's okay. It's okay. You don't want to favor anyone. Okay, what about top 5 directors?
Directors. In no particular order.
No particular order. And it can be 3, it can be 6, it can be 1.
Francis Ford Coppola.
Of course.
Quentin Tarantino.
Sure.
Martin Scorsese. Because I'm good with 3. 5.
Yes, fantastic.
5 is tricky.
Then top 5 films.
Top 5 films. I have to say, as a child, Star Wars.
That's already 5.
Yeah. Well, not the new stuff. Definitely not the new stuff. The original trilogy. Godfather.
Yes.
1 and 2.
1 and 2.
1 and 2. 3 was, a little bit of a letdown in some ways. For me personally, it was maybe Enter the Dragon, Fist of Fury, the original Lord of the Rings.
So you like all these films that are films with strong stories, with a cinematic environment.
The Matrix.
The Matrix. But that's, we cannot make a stronger cinematic environment than the Matrix, because really we travel through fantasy.
Right.
I have a quote that I would like to share with you. It's from Al Pacino. He says, "I'm an actor, not a star. Stars are people who live in Hollywood and have heart-shaped swimming pools." Do you already have a heart-shaped swimming pool at home?
Not yet. No, maybe one day, It's still early.
Before we conclude this first part and goes to the second part of filming in Thailand, I'd like to offer you the opportunity to pick up your dream team. Let's say you pick up a director, maybe a producer, some co-stars for your dream project, and I'm sure you know where I'm going to with this.
Dream project. I mean, I don't think I would be more excited to work with anybody than Martin Scorsese. Just from watching his films growing up, from Goodfellas, from Casino. It would be tough, though, to choose between him and Quentin Tarantino.
So that would be on the director part.
And I forgot Stanley Kubrick.
Stanley Kubrick.
I forgot Stanley Kubrick in my ranking.
So that's for the director-producer part.
Yes.
And then co-stars.
Co-star Leonardo DiCaprio.
Okay.
Right now. I mean, he's number one, really, right? So Leonardo DiCaprio, Robert De Niro, it's sort of in Scorsese's wheelhouse. That would be just a dream come true to work with people like that.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
You are listening to Filming in Thailand, a podcast by Tero Documentary, with your host, Stéphane Lambert.
This is Filming in Thailand, the podcast. This is part 2 of this fantastic episode with our guest today, Eoin O'Brien. We were just discussing your dream team for your dream project, and you picked those famous directors, these co-stars. This co-star, actually, Leonardo DiCaprio.
Leonardo DiCaprio, yeah, I would love to.
But let's come back to Earth.
In a dream, yeah.
And let's discuss about the main reason I wanted to have you with us is this crazy project you've been carrying for some time, from what I understand, that became a film. And the film is directed and produced by Tom Waller. And the name is The Kiss of the Con Queen.
Kiss of the Con Queen.
Kiss of the Con Queen, that I was lucky to be invited at one of the screening. And I must say is you have this Tom Waller signature of, the feature drama, feature film, feature fiction film, but it's mixing very closely with reality, with real life. So, Kiss of the Con Queen is the story of this guy, I'll do the pitch, who is trying to be an actor, trying to get in the movie industry and get conned by this person who is, luring actors and actresses into fake casting and fake hopes of becoming a part of a huge Hollywood project. And this is a real story. So now, I would like to separate your life and the fiction. Okay? So first, can you please share with us the story of the film, how you met with Tom, how you shared with him this script you had, and how this became a film.
Filming in Thailand.
February 2019.
Okay.
Came home a broken man. What could I do? Wrote a script about it. I just thought that, I have to write about this. I have to tell my story. So the script, I had a draft written, and then I kind of did a table read with my actor friends.
But that was a script, not a novel.
No, just a script.
You directly went to the script.
Straight to screenplay, yeah. And so I would do table reads with my friends. I would get feedback. I send it out for coverage. I use Screenplay. I use some other services. Get the notes back, apply the notes, redraft it. Sent to Tom the fifth draft.
Okay.
And he immediately got it. He immediately saw the potential of the film. And it was right in his wheelhouse, being based on a true story, stranger than fiction, this type of tale. And so he immediately got it, as well as seeing the struggling actor in Bangkok aspect of it as well. And I'm sure he also shares in the ambition of the lead character. And we all have this ambition to make great art and to be successful and to make our dreams come true.
Absolutely.
So Tom got the fifth draft, immediately liked it, enjoyed it, made an offer to me. And me being in this situation for the first time.
Made an offer to you for the script. I mean, he wanted an option on the script.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And I said, thank you, Tom. That's great. But you never just jump on the first bus, right? So I shopped it around. I sent it around to other people and got other perspectives and other ideas, and had some other production companies, big ones, even some here in Thailand, interested in it as well. But at the end of the day, Tom was the one who said to me, we make this film together. I direct, you star, that's it. And as I had considered some other options, I also was told that the bigger the film goes, the less likely it would be that I got to play the lead.
That's really true.
Right.
Or that it happens.
Exactly. So it could be in production hell. Somebody could love it and then try and get funding for it for 5-10 years. It could just never happen. But
that's really true.
I knew Tom would get it done. And so after shopping it around for a few months, I think it was April 2021, signed a shopping agreement with Tom Waller, and we had our personal agreement with it. He directs, I act. We're both executive producers. He's great at that. He's great at producing the film. So the next step was then funding, getting the money. The hardest part, right? One of the hardest parts is getting the money involved. So Tom was around at the markets, shopping the project. I cut a sizzle reel together. So I used some of the documentaries based on this topic, showed some of the victims' testimony, cut it together to what I felt was a trailer soundtrack that embodied the theme, the tone, the weirdness of this film. It was like a horror thriller type music. So we made a teaser which helped sell the film. And I think he put together a pitch deck, which was very, very good. He's very good at that. So then we had the teaser and the pitch deck, and Tom's shopping it around. And we had some interest, but a lot of people were like, oh, let us know when it's made, So we had some pre-sales from a couple of interested parties. But other than that, it was Tom putting the investment money together from his sources. So it was pre-sales and private equity that was all combining with a bunch of different production companies as well, like West Tech Media, Hawkins Film Work, Taro, and it was a combination. So Tom was the brains behind putting that together.
Filming in Thailand.
When you were working on the script, you had the idea of acting your own self.
Of course.
Acting your own self, yeah. of being your own character.
As somebody I had sent the script to reminded me that this is your role to play. You experienced this. This is your Rocky. If you don't play a lead role now, when are you going to play the lead role? You're not getting any younger. We all have to reach for our goals and do whatever it takes to make things happen. And then I was inspired by Stallone's story of how, the production company, they wanted the script very badly, but they didn't want him. And he stuck to his guns, and he took a huge pay cut to play the lead. And, it worked out for him. And that was a huge production company. It was a big Hollywood film anyway, but this is sort of the same thing on a Bangkok scale.
Filming in Thailand.
There is a saying in Hollywood, saying talking about producer. says, our role as producers is to provide the canvas, but directors are the ones who paint the masterpiece. Is it the way you decided to let's say to set your relationship with Tom? Because you were Tom was the director, you were the actor, but you were both meeting as co-producers.
Right. Well, the thing was, the other thing that would have happened had I gone bigger, was that the script would have probably got completely rewritten.
Mm-hmm.
Tom liked the script as it was, but he liked the 5th draft. We did 6th draft, 7th draft, 8, 9, 10, 8.1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9.1 to 8.7. We shot 10.6.
Okay.
So that it was really, really worked. A lot of the editing was done before we ever shot a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So we were getting coverage, we were getting feedback, and I would apply the notes. So that was my screenwriting film school there. Multiple times, redrafting the script, getting it stronger, so that the story, when we went to production, we had actually got a rare recommend from one of the coverage services in Industrial Scripts that we sent it to. And Tom said that's very rare, because if you get a recommend, then you don't send it back to them for another draft, right? So
Sure.
So to get a recommend on draft 10.5 or whatever it was really validating for us, and we were delighted with that, and we knew everything was, in place to make a great film. We have the blueprint, we had the story. Now Tom would put all the other pieces together needed to make the film.
Filming in Thailand.
Now we are on set, ready to shoot. What do you have in mind when, for the first time, you hear Tom saying, "Okay, camera's rolling"?
Well, let me just highlight one exceptional part of Tom's production was that signed the shopping agreement in April of 2021. We were on set shooting by December 1st, 2021. 8 months later.
That's super fast.
Super fast, right? So Tom likes to be, as with The Cave, first to market with the story.
Sure.
Because bigger and better and Hollywood produced $10 million version of The Cave is going to come out later. But if you're first to market, you have an advantage.
You're the first, and you'll always be the first.
Yes, exactly. So he did a great job in acquiring all the funding in 8 months, from here's a shopping agreement signature to action. First day, first scene. So,
But that's the producer talking.
That's the producer, yeah.
Now, and after that, I will ask you about your real life experience around this story. You went through this life-defining experience as the person who got conned by this con queen.
The victim.
The victim. But you're not a victim. I mean, you are here. It means you are not a victim.
Sure.
So, and you went through the development process, the production process, and here you are on set as an actor.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you find the energy, the inner resource to say, it's not a dream come true, it's a job, let's not melt, let's act, let's perform.
Right. That was, there was nothing to be nervous about, is what I had prepared, what I'd been working towards for the previous 12, 13 years in the industry here. It's what I had worked every day for in an acting class, every hour in an acting class, which we did here for years at the Warren Pictures in Sukhumvit. We had acting classes going there twice a week, 4 or 5 hours a class.
Filming in Thailand.
I would like to know what went through your, if anything, went through your mind at that person, because it's a big achievement. And as you say, it went very fast.
Yes.
From the moment you met Tom and to the moment where on set Tom said action.
Yeah.
You were not overwhelmed?
Not at all. I was delighted.
Delighted.
Dreams were coming true.
Yeah, that's why I'm leading to. That's where I'm leading to.
From having the dreams crushed, dangled in front of me like a carrot, like used as bait, to reversing that and playing that lead role, playing that big role. And in some ways, even more important, I was the writer, I was the producer. So even though I was promised a role in Hollywood, it wasn't as a producer, it wasn't as a writer. So I learned all these other things. And, you just take it shot by shot, scene by scene, day by day, and you prepare and you give it all you can and you hope it's enough. And,
Are you the only one on set with the real life experience on this story?
No. We actually brought in a couple of other victims, real life victims, several real life victims to be part of the film. and to play roles, and as well as people like Tom and Wade, who had also been kissed by the Con Queen in one way or the other. Our director of photography,
Wade Muller.
Yeah. So there was many people that had experienced the kiss of the Con Queen that were on set. And we wanted to bring as much of them in as possible to give everybody that sense of poetic justice that they deserved after going through that. So
I have this question. Popping up is: have you ever considered, instead of going to fiction, making a documentary?
Yes, many times. Especially nowadays, with the documentaries are so strong on, and even as a child, as a basketball fanatic, watching films like Hoop Dreams, very, very, very powerful because it's real. There's no acting there. It's real life. It's a slice of life, and I love documentary films. And nowadays, with this true crime wave that we have, I'm watching it. Almost every day I'm watching some true crime stuff.
Because Tom is creating this genre that is a fiction based on, not only based on true facts, but also played by the real people. So these are not documentaries, not even drama documentaries or docudrama, but fiction with a new genre. This is what he did with The Cave. And he's doing it again, and in a big way with Kiss of the Con Queen.
Right.
So was there a moment where when you said, okay, there is the fiction, there is my script, or let's go into a documentary?
I actually have signed a shopping agreement with a documentary filmmaker already in the UK, WAG Productions. They work for Netflix. They made a film called Don't Pick Up the Phone, which similarly had this weird sexual side to the seduction, to the manipulation, to the con that was going on. So that was a particularly strange and twisted tale where people were calling fast food restaurants and they were getting the manager to call some young, vulnerable female into the office and then strip searching her, saying she's stolen things. So it's in the same wheelhouse as this weird, sick sexual side to the con, to the manipulation. So yes, I have a deal with WAG Productions in the UK, and I think they are just waiting on some final announcement on the extradition of the real character to greenlight their film. So it's kind of coming into the last couple of months of that now. So we'll see if they want to pull the trigger here before the shopping agreement lapses, or else extend it. They have the option to extend it again for another 6 months. So yeah, I do documentaries, and that would help the film as well, because it would be like a big advertisement.
There is a synergy between the fiction and the documentary.
Right.
But I believe there are some other projects around the story, the pipe.
Well, also, just going back to the real victims, we had a famous UFC fighter who we had heard about through our research. There was a stage of the production that we skipped talking about, which was also very difficult and a big hurdle we had to get over, which was casting. We had to cast the film. And casting the film, you need as much cachet from the rest of the cast as possible, especially with me not being a superstar. We needed a fantastic Con Queen, right? So we had a list of all the top Asian, Indian-looking actors in Hollywood, and fair play to Tom, he got the script to most of them, to a guy we were looking at early on as a comedian named Veer Das. He didn't like it. Some people, didn't react to the script, but Ravi Patel read the script and loved it. And despite it probably being not a big earner for him and his management, we got him on board. And then in the process of casting, we found out about one of the main characters in the film, my best friend, the guy who plays our Jay in the film. I don't know if I should say his name just yet, but people will find out it's Mike Swick of the UFC, former, championship contender. He took 6 trips, and he'll tell his
to Indonesia.
To Indonesia. So he had early on, before there was media attention on the story, before there was a Hollywood Reporter, a Variety, all these. So when I or my girlfriend, wife now, Googled the story and immediately told me what happened, when he was in that position, there was no way of finding out. So he took a lot of trips, he spent a lot of money, and he deserved to be in the film as much as anyone.
Filming in Thailand.
That is a good way to bring us to talk about the real life situation, and not only because it's an interesting story and I would like to know more, but also because it's a nice way to touch back the filming in Thailand topic. Thailand is a hub for foreign films being produced in the area. Before COVID, it was around 800 IPs being produced a year, if we mix documentaries, program, fiction, and TVC, commercials. Now it's a little bit less, bigger in terms of budget size and production value, but still, Thailand is the hub of production. So, being a hub, you have many actors and actresses coming to Thailand in the hope of becoming someone and making it through this very tough industry. And of course, as we are going to discover with you, there is a lot of, let's say, bad intended people making quick money out of the hope of so many people trying to make it in their art. So let's go back to you. You are in Thailand. You're casting. You're doing some acting. You are credited here and there. Are you still a coach? Are you still in the?
I'm still keeping my day job.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you still have a day job, and you are contacted by someone who says, "Hey, you will have this big chance with these big people for this big film with this big money. Come to us."
Right.
Of course, the answer must be yes.
Yes.
Now, from this, I'm taking the chance to, I'm spending money and, being overwhelmed by those requests. What happened? How did you lose yourself in this story?
Okay, well, as a freelancer, you're responsible for generating your own work.
Sure.
We don't have agents here in the typical sense, like in LA, in London, in New York. We don't have people who are fighting for us. You have to fight for yourself. You have to get your own roles. And a lot of that's from relationships and, doing good work with other people. But you get a call and you go for it. You get an email, you go for it. And I'd worked like this many, many times. I had got an email. I'd gone to work on Strike Back in Malaysia twice. 2 different versions of Strike Back and the reboot. So I'd been to Malaysia to work 5 or 6 times. I'd been to Laos to work. I had been offered 2 or 3 jobs in China that didn't work out. And so it was just normal part to get an email, to get a call from a producer and go for it. And even...
You mean so far this is normal business as usual?
Business as usual. You
get an opportunity, you seize it, you see where it goes.
Right. You get contacted and you go for it. And it wasn't completely out of the realms. It wasn't as crazy as it sounds to some people, because I had been called before to go and be in Pacific Rim, Guillermo del Toro's film. So I got personally contacted by a producer, followed up on it, went, and I was in, a $300 million film that I'm very proud of, even though it's just a few moments on screen. That's a great film. And it was big Hollywood production. It played all around the world. It was on cinemas everywhere and everybody saw it, even though I was just a smaller part in it. I was still very proud of it. But that was just from an email.
That was just from an email?
An email. Come to see us. We're shooting this part in Thailand. And then I did that, and then they wanted to shoot more, so we shot more. And that was just from, being contacted by yourself. When you don't have an agent, you don't have a manager doing those things for you, screening those calls for you. And even people who did have agents and managers were taken. So that's kind of beside the point. But yeah, I get a call, and it's a big film, and it was from another film I had worked on. It was a producer from another film I had worked on called The Last Full Measure. And I had scored a acting role in this with dialogue with people like Samuel L. Jackson, Ed Harris, very, very prestigious class of sort of aging Hollywood legends.
But did you share screen time with them on this?
I shared screen time with the lead role, who was the lead. Jeremy was the lead from War Horse, the Steven Spielberg film.
Okay.
So I did share screen time with the lead, but not any of those legends, unfortunately. But so I had been contacted by a producer who said he was from this film. His name was Richard Suckle from Atlas Entertainment in LA. So I'm Googling, yes, huge resume. He wants to put me in touch with a another producer that he works with called Deborah Snyder. And wasn't very familiar at the time, but he said wife of Zack Snyder. And I had heard of Zack Snyder, 300, Dawn of the Dead. Fantastic films, fantastic Hollywood films. His more recent films have been on Netflix, straight to Netflix, that kind of thing. But she is also the producer of huge films like Wonder Woman. So she gets in touch with me then eventually. I get in touch with her. And the whole story was that she likes to cast these unknown people from obscurity and develop these people into new stars.
At that time, you believe you're talking to her?
First to Richard Suckle, yes.
Richard Suckle.
Then eventually he lines up a Skype call with Deborah Snyder. And I believe, yes, at the time, I'm talking to Deborah Snyder, even though I know now it's ridiculous. But
it's not ridiculous. Why would it be ridiculous? It's
ideally, realistically now, knowing what I know now, she would never be contacting somebody. It would be an assistant or somebody like that. But at the time...
But it's important to say, because for people who are listening to us, you need to tell them, where to be careful and
yes,
what are the small hints that you have to look for to decide if it's true or not.
Knowing what I know now, her being a big Hollywood shot caller, somebody else has contacted me first. There would have been levels before I ever got to speak to her.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
But at the time, I was all in, and I thought this was, my next Pacific Rim moment.
So was it a matter of ego? Like you wanted to believe, okay, I'm a huge star now, so of course they're calling me directly.
No, it was never a matter of being a huge star, because you have a very...
I'm being provocative on purpose here.
Right. It was more like what they were saying. What was more credible was that they want to cast an unknown. They've seen me in another piece of work.
Okay.
They got great recommendations from the producers on the other film. And because after I did my part in the other film, I was highly complimented by the director and the producer. So I felt good that something might come from that.
Okay.
And so I was just waiting for something good to come from that. And so I was the perfect victim. After what happened to me with Pacific Rim, after doing well on this film, the directors and producers complimenting me on my work, and then he contacts me saying he's this guy. He puts me in touch with another guy. It was just hook, line, and sinker.
That's really disturbing.
Yeah.
And
very detailed, very specifically custom-made, tailored to you, researched. It's social engineering in a way, right? It's
social engineering.
Yes.
It's identity theft.
Yes.
So they hook you up, and it seems to be working. You are responding positively, but there is something that is difficult to understand for someone that was not in this position, and it can happen for not only in the movie industry. We hear stories every day of people getting, sucked out of all their money because they receive a nice phone call. How can they? So they retry to get money from you, and it succeeded.
Eventually, but that was much later. First thing I had to do was a series of over-the-phone auditions.
Okay.
Improvisations.
Okay.
On the scenes. So she had this whole movie script plot created, and that it was an origin story of one of the people from the Justice League, the cyborg character, right?
Yes.
So
the bigger, the better, huh?
His origin story. Well, he was more, Justice League is Superman and Batman, so this is Cyborg. And if you look at some of the Marvel films that are coming out now, they're more obscure. They're not the big tentpole superheroes that they used to be. But this was Cyborg, and there was a lead support role of a detective named Cody. I'm his ally on the force.
Okay.
This whole story, this whole plot for the film was created. Now you are trying to infiltrate the Shadow Group, and the Shadow Group has a lawyer that works for them, and I'm going to play the lawyer, and you have to come into this bar, and you have to get me up to your hotel room to extract some information from me. So I'm sitting at the bar, you're going to come in, sit down, we're going to role play the scenario, we're going to do an improvisation. Are you up for that? Sure, yeah, let's do it. So I did that, and it was no critique. no critique. It wasn't good enough. It wasn't this. It wasn't that. So I'm like under pressure now.
So really messing with your head.
Really, really.
This is mindfucking, yeah.
And the other person who was on our film, the UFC fighter, they had him playing a character with a speech impediment, with a stutter.
Okay.
So this guy's auditioning for a film that doesn't exist, playing a character that doesn't exist with a stutter.
Okay.
And she's just ripping into him. It's not good enough. You're not doing it right. It's not like that. So it's just, the manipulation is at another level.
Filming in Thailand.
You're the one who put a stop to that.
No. I'm not the one who put a stop to it. There was some fictionalization in the film. The character had to be the one who brought a stop to it. But
Makes sense.
I'm not the one who, there was a photographer. And it wasn't just actors. It was photographers, security people, director, private security, stunt people. She ran the whole gambit of the entertainment industry, preying on everybody's dreams. So it was somebody else who first posted an Instagram story, which got the story out there.
Okay.
And then it was the executives, the Deborah Snyders, the real people, the Amy Pascals, hiring an intelligence service from New York called K2 to hunt them down. And so the FBI, because the damages were so small, a few thousand here, a few thousand there, because the damages were so small, the FBI wasn't really paying much attention to it. So the K2 got all the victims' information together and combined it in a portfolio and then brought it to the FBI and said, this person's a maniac. Look at all the damages. Look at all the victims. There's hundreds of victims. There's thousands of damage. Then they started to take it seriously. So the character in the film, yes, was the one responsible for bringing her down. I cannot claim that to be. So there's where we diverge from reality to fictionalized version of the story.
At any time, were you hearing this little voice at the back of your mind saying, back of your head saying, hey, you should maybe be checking this out?
Almost immediately when I arrived there. But at that point, it's too late. So you do these...
Let's try not to give away too much because it's also a film.
Sure.
But when you say there, we won't say where is there. But so the first time you took a trip, you had this doubt. There was something wrong.
I only took one trip. Other victims took multiple trips, which is even more mind-blowing. So I took one trip. It was 4 days. And they had a driver pick me up at the airport. They had paid for a hotel room. So they had invested financially in it as well.
Okay.
So they did tell me to buy my own flight last minute. Oh, can you just arrange your own flight? We'll reimburse you. Here's a reimbursement document. You need to take note of everything and we'll reimburse you with your fee at the end of the trip.
A real production work on the bad guy side.
It's so elaborate. It's so elaborate because that was the thing. It was like, who goes through all this trouble?
Sure.
This is, nobody does a scam this elaborate, this for a few $1,000s here, a few thousand. What sort of a maniac goes through all this? But it was the role play that they were getting off on. It was the power. It was some sort of vengeance on the world, I think. And there was the sexual side of things.
Sexual side of things? What do you mean by sexual side of things?
Well, we're kind of jumping around here a little bit, but the first audition was the scene in the bar. Eventually, after notes and critique, eventually I passed that scene. Okay, that wasn't bad. Let's move on to the next scene. Now we're in an elevator. We're going to go up to your room. And when I give you a cue, I want you to start making love to me. So I'm trying to rub in the elevator, and there's this really kind of cheesy back and forth, like what floor are we going to? And
so you're on the phone
with this person, and she's playing hard to get, playing coy, and eventually, cue, give me a kiss. Come on, give me a kiss. Give me a kiss. Give me a kiss. Mwah, mwah. And I'm hearing these noises down the phone. I'm like, what is going on? I start playing like, no, Ryan, that's not good enough. So more critique, until I went full into the love scene, and I'm just making kissing noise, backing at her. I'm kissing my hand, I believe, on my Skype.
Is there a video involved, or it's only audio?
Unfortunately.
It's video.
Unfortunately, there was video later.
So you see the person?
No, there's no video. Never video from her side.
Okay.
Later.
From you to her.
Later,
Here.
the next time, my video was on, unfortunately.
Oof.
Yeah. Oof. And that's the first thing that goes to your mind when you realize it's a scam. It's like,
What did I do?
oh, there's a video of that somewhere, I'm sure of it, and I look like such an idiot. So that's one of the first things, because the sexual side, we're in the elevator, we're doing the sex scene, and she's critiquing me and saying, no, I need more, and I want more, and you're not doing it good enough, and you have to fully commit and all this. So other people got the same thing, and other people went further and did worse than I did.
Filming in Thailand.
There is this quote from Jeremy Iron. Good acting is like good lovemaking. Leave yourself alone and explore. So this is what you were doing.
Yeah, well, I was trying my best, and I was doing what I was coached towards and instructed, and this part happened just like in the film. So there's initial part, and you get past that, and then the next day it's, oh, you didn't do that good enough. She wants to work with you again.
Okay.
And I'm at work right now. I can't work on it now. Oh, well, let's just forget about it. What do you mean just forget about it? Oh, maybe you're not the right guy for this part. No, I'm the guy. I am the guy. And so I'm running around my university looking for a quiet place to do the scene again.
And a broom.
In a broom closet. And we see what happens. And that time I went all in. Clothes came off. And she's getting way into it. So there could have been masturbation on her side of the...
Sure.
Because I said, let's do the bar scene again. And she said, are you sure? I said, okay, let's do the elevator scene. She steered me.
But you were an actor. She was a pervert,
Right.
but you were acting. So
Right.
on your side, there is nothing wrong.
Yeah. I got naked, though. Definitely wasn't really aroused. So let's just hope the video never surfaces.
You are listening to Filming in Thailand, a podcast by Tero Documentary, with your host, Stéphane Lambert.
And here we are for the third part of Filming in Thailand, the podcast. Today we are welcoming Eoin O'Brien, actor, writer, producer, but here to share with us this incredible experience, life-defining experience that brought you to the big screen as the lead role, as the co-producer, and as the main writer of your own story that Tom Waller brought to screen, Kiss of the Con Queen. Usually in Filming in Thailand, I don't go into specific and timely film or production, but this is timeless. It happened, and it's there, and it will stay there, and it's really a life-defining moment in your career, in your life first, and then in your career. Where do you see the film going?
Well, following Tom's model with The Cave and his previous other independent films, we hope to open at film festivals.
Film festival.
In the next 6 months.
Filming in Thailand.
What I mean is that do you see the film staying as a testimony of what not to do?
It definitely is a cautionary tale, and it definitely is, it definitely is a cautionary tale for the world we live in now. Everything is on the internet, and there are so many scams out there. And half of the true crime documentaries we've been talking about, Tinder Swindler, etc., they're all based on these internet scams. And so one thing that I hope for the film is that, it makes people question everything and just be careful.
What would you do differently? Or what are you doing differently today?
Well,
if you receive a phone call and says Steven Spielberg wants you, what do you do?
Well, I don't spend any of my own money.
Okay, yes. That's the first rule. Don't spend your own money.
Everything would have been fine if I hadn't spent my own money. You never should spend your own money. And I knew that. And as we were talking about, which I didn't fully answer, there was a voice in my head from the first day, from the first time I went to the cash machine and took money out. It was like, this is a bad idea. This is a bad idea. Don't do it. And every time I went back to the cash machine, there was more and more. That voice got louder and louder and louder. And then when she canceled the meeting with the crew that we were supposed to meet and shoot this promo video with. When she canceled it the second time, I couldn't ignore the voice anymore. And I just knew. Before I had any confirmation, I knew it was a scam. And I went home, called my dad, called my girlfriend, called my brother. I think I've been scammed. And they're rooting me on. They're hoping this goes well. You know, they're just waiting to hear some good news that this is my breakthrough. And no, this is a scam. My dad said, how sure are you? I said, 99%. He said, get out of there now. Get on the next flight back home. And so not only that, but then you're thinking about the money you lost. You're thinking about how stupid you were. You're thinking about the video that might be out there, probably is out there. So there's also this shame and guilt involved, and that's part of the con. People don't tell other people because of that video. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, what was I doing on video? I can't tell anybody else about this. You know, I can't go to the police. I just want to sweep it under the rug and forget it ever happened. So that's, of course, the way most people reacted to it. So there is the huge cautionary tale side of the film that I hope people just second guess some things and are more critically thinking when it comes to anything that's too good to be true, probably is. And other than that, it's the tale of, you know, going for your dream and never giving up no matter how bad things happen to you, and, you know, how our character does it with teamwork.
Filming in Thailand.
So let's imagine now that we are going to travel back in time and meet your own self, but younger. Where would we go, and at what age would we meet you? And then we will go into the time traveling machine.
Well, I can't say I would go back and do anything differently as far as what brought me here.
But where do we meet yourself? We meet you in Ireland and in your 20s, because we have to embark the time traveling machine.
Okay, so let's go back to... No, I was actually in the UK. I went to university first in the UK at about 19 years of age. I went over there to live.
Brunel University.
In London.
In London?
Yes.
Okay, let's go there.
This is the time traveling machine.
Okay, here we are. What do you have in mind at that time?
What I have in mind in that time is just freedom.
Freedom.
I'm living alone in London.
Okay, as a student.
As a student, away from my family for the first time, with money.
Okay.
And with very sort of light curriculum. So lots of mornings off, just a few classes a week. The first year of university in the UK at the time was you know, a few classes here, a few classes there, but I didn't go to many of them, to be honest.
In your mind, you want to pursue a career in sport or in film?
At the time, I was definitely full speed ahead on basketball. So I was there trying to get a scholarship to go to play basketball in the United States, which I eventually earned from over there, a scholarship to go to university in the USA.
In the US?
Yes.
Where did you go in the US?
I went to Southern Illinois, to a junior college in Kaskaskia, Illinois, which is a very small town about an hour east of St. Louis. And I was there for 2 years, and then I went to a small Division II school in southern Indiana.
So you're facing yourself, your younger self. Would you give yourself an advice or some heads up?
Yeah, I would say get serious. Stop partying. I mean, we have to go through that. We have to get it out of our system, right? But I would have even maybe, you know, try an acting class earlier.
Okay.
You know.
But you would not tell yourself anything regarding what not to do to find yourself in the position you went?
Honestly, if I hadn't gone through that, I wouldn't have had this feature film.
Of course.
Completed right now. So, you know, wishing you could go back in time and change anything. It's, you know, yeah, I would say to myself at that university, don't go to the second university in Indiana because the coach was an asshole and it didn't work out there for me. So there is something I would change there. But as far as everything that's happened to get me to this point, I wouldn't change a thing. You know, you have to live through it. You have to learn from it. You have to grow from it. And that's why I'm here talking to you now.
Filming in Thailand.
We are back to the present time. And if you had to because you're becoming a role model. You know, you went through this con, you turn it into a film, you're turning it into something extremely positive for you and people who are going to watch the film, who watch already the film. What would you tell people who are aspiring for a career in the film industry regarding to what happened to you?
Well, you need good people around you. So if I had shared that information at the time with a mentor or a manager, they might have said, hey, don't spend your own money. Be careful here, be careful that. But to people trying to be successful, I would say, you know, study your craft.
Study your craft.
A lot of people are here and they're just working. They just work here, they work there, but they're not studying. They're not earning technique in acting. They're not developing their craft. Some are. Many are. There are acting classes, but even now myself, we don't have an ongoing class right now. I'm trying to get back into a class. It's hard to find an acting coach that is good because a lot of acting coaches are also con men. You know, they're also playing like the con queen on your desires and your dreams and your goals and, you know.
But that goes also with the industry.
Exactly.
No one has the secret recipe.
There's a lot of predatory behavior, right? And
Also.
people prey on those and there becomes this kind of culty existence in some of the classes I've seen where they try and, you know, get their students to worship them, you know, and...
no names, please.
No names. It's not one person, it's many people.
Yeah, I know.
There's many people, right?
Unfortunately, there are many.
Unfortunately. And so what I would say to people is get as much experience as you can. Do everything. Do commercial work if it's there. Do your own thing. Write. You need to learn to write because once you're the writer, you're the owner. And if you can write well, then you can create your own projects and you can write the type of film that you would like to see. Write the type of film that you would like to be in because nobody's going to write it for you. Nobody's going to come to me and say, here's a lead role. You have to do it yourself.
Once you write, you own.
Yes. So learn the craft of screenwriting. And plus, films start as a text. Films all come from the writing. So you have to know what's good writing and what's bad writing, what's strong and what's not. They make a lot of mediocre films here from mediocre scripts. And knowing the craft of writing, knowing what's strong, you got to read the great scripts, you got to write your own shorts, you got to eventually write your own features, and then you got to rewrite your features because writing the thing once, that's just the clay that then you have to mold into a finished product, which will take 10 to 15 drafts.
It seems that to be successful now in this movie industry, content producing industry, you need to be multitasking. You need to be an actor, a writer, a producer, a director.
Exactly.
You would advise people to have or to nurture their own multi-talent.
Exactly. You can't just be one thing. And if you're an actor, you shouldn't just be here, right? Because if you really want to be an actor, you need to be in LA or in London, perhaps.
That's a good transition to this question I wanted to ask you. Is Bangkok, is Thailand the good place to, to develop your career as an actor?
It's a good place to get started. Okay. It's a good place to get some credits under your belt, less competition, less roles, less substantial roles. Okay. So there's a good side and a bad side. If you can do some stunts, it helps you a lot here. There's a lot of action. So know how to throw a punch, know how to kick, do some Thai boxing, know how to take a fall. You'll get some action work. So yes, you need a round array of skills, which includes action, stunts, shooting, editing. I love to edit, that I found in the process as well, which is also useful. So definitely having a wide range of skills. You can't just be one thing anymore unless you are the top 1% in the world. Then maybe, yes, people will come to you. You're not Leonardo DiCaprio, and if you are, you're not here. So you need to be able to do a bit of everything.
So it's a good place to start, and you would say that as soon as there is some success knocking at your door, move to LA?
That's one possibility. That has to be right for you. I mean, the cost of living is crazy there. America seems to be on a decline. there's homeless people. There's, all sorts of problems over there that I've thought about making the move quite a few times to LA.
But can you make it as a foreigner in Thailand?
As a foreigner, you can make it. Yes, I mean, look at Tom. Look at Joshua Dixon. He has his own production house, right? So, but that's not as any one thing. That's as a producer director, as a head of a studio. So, just as an actor, you're going to get some experience. You'll get some roles, but I'm not sure where you're going to train. I'm not sure where you're going to develop your craft. I'm not sure you'll get on-set experience. Yes, you'll get around like-minded people. Yes, but it's not LA and it's not New York.
And that concludes this episode of Filming in Thailand. But before we part, I'd like to offer you the award for Best Guest Ever for this episode of Filming in Thailand. And Zoe, our production assistant of the day, he's offering you the official mug of Filming in Thailand. It's a beautiful mug where on one side you have our AI-generated poster, and on the other side you have the logo of Filming in Thailand with the logo of Woody Podcast, the platform where we release the podcast, and the logo of Tero Documentary, our main partner for this show.
Filming in Thailand.
Owen, it's been a thrill to have you with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. It was a nice chat we had.
I want to extend a warm thanks to Lina, Shamsaina, Udaya and the Terror Radio team for welcoming the show, and of course to Brian Markar for its continuing support. Brian is also a producer on
Indeed, yeah, he was one of the first people that came on board and said, yes, Tom, make your film. We're going to bring Film Bangkok back in a big way with the film.
Absolutely. So. Yes, that's the plan. Filming in Thailand is produced by Wishtrend Thailand for a podcast company with Tero Documentary and Tero Creative Lab. I am Stéphane Lambert, and Zoe was our production assistant today. I would say, et voilà.
Merci.
That's it for this episode of Filming in Thailand. Thank you very much, Owen.
Thank you.
Okay, people, fantastic. That's a wrap.
That was Filming in Thailand, an original podcast brought to you by Tero Documentary on Woody Podcast, with your host, Stéphane Lambert.
Thank you for listening, and stay tuned for our next episode of Filming in Thailand. I think your mic was not on. Can you check if the mic was on?
I could hear my voice in the thing. Get out of it. I could hear my voice in the headphones. Let's do it again. I have to get some coffee.